Well, hey everyone, this is Spencer here, and I'm joined with a very special guest here today, Shelene Bryan, who has been a dear friend and mentor of mine and an H4O supporter for the past couple of years. Shelene has an incredible story. I'll let her tell you about that, but now she is known as a best-selling author and travels all over the place speaking a lot of times to college students. And in my conversations with Shelene, I've just been so struck by her incredible wisdom for young people. So I think Shelene is very much young at heart and has a lot of wisdom to offer us young people as we look to make a difference. So Shelene, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on today.
I'm so happy to be here. You couldn't have said that better. I love young people. They keep me young. You know, that age group that's just ready to take on the world, and they don't know the word no.
Yep.
And they just go for it and throw care to the wind and make things happen. And I think it's a model actually for people who get in their 40s to remember what they were like in their 20s. And just how you just went for things. You didn't care about failure.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest failure we could do is when we care about failure.
Yeah.
The more I fail, that I'm going to get an expert at something. Because it's like I'm going to become excellent at something really soon. Because I keep failing at this. But yeah.
No,
thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. So, and I guess let's just start with a little bit of your background and your story. And I think it's going to be great and insightful for interns because they're going to see that you started in one area and you've done so many different things in your life, and it's just important for all of us young people to remember that life is a journey and you never know where we end up. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about your story, and then from there dive into some topics that you have a lot of insight into.
Okay, I'd love to. My story pretty much, I got married at 21 years old and no, I wasn't pregnant. I actually love the guy, and he had a nice butt, so we got married.
There you go.
You know everything at 21. So we got married, and first year into marriage, my husband decided to go to law school.
Mm-hmm.
And I started interning at that time for the Barbara Cameron agency, Kirk Cameron and Candace Cameron's mom. I wanted to learn the business, and I would suggest anybody who is in college or young enough to intern in any area that you want to learn. You're going to learn more about that industry by interning than you are in any college class in your life. I don't care how great your professor is. It's amazing the things that happen when you actually get to get behind the curtain and see where the sausage is made. It's pretty crazy. So he comes home and says, with books, and I enrolled in law school and went to law school for 4 years, passed the bar the first time, and I know, right? And he's been practicing law ever since. We waited about 6 years before we had kids, and then we had a son who's now 20, and he just got married. And they weren't pregnant either. No, it's awesome.
Right in the family.
Well, when you meet the right person, like, what are you waiting for? Because people go, oh, you don't have a 401k yet, or you don't have this. You have rich parents. Let them help you. I just feel like when people do things right, there's a blessing that comes with that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's an age or a number. And if you find the person that God created for you, jump into that.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait until you're what? More stuck in your ways about things and stubborn and rude. I mean, grow together. And so my husband really led me in a great way, and he gave me opportunity to pursue things and believed in me in pursuing those things because he was young too. Yeah, do that. Make that happen. We'll buy that. Let's go get it. Let's start it.
Yeah.
And it was great because if I had been under my parents, they would have completely told me not to do any of the things I did. And I'm not saying to disrespect your parents, but I'm saying they don't know your dreams.
Yeah.
And they don't know the plans that God has for your life. Only you know that.
Yeah.
And you know what it is even if you don't believe in God, because it burns on your heart every day. It's like, what would you get up for?
Yeah.
What would you get up at 3 a.m. for?
Yeah.
What would you not go to bed for? You know what I mean? Those are the things that you see that you're passionate about. So do that, and money will always come.
Yeah.
And where I think that sometimes adults tell young people in high school, college, that you need to wait and find, get benefits and have a secure job, and you need to have all these things in place before you can launch into life. It's the biggest lie.
Yeah.
It's literally a big lie. And I don't think parents want to lie to their kids, but they are. Because their parents told them that lie.
Yeah.
And their grandparents told them that lie. And so then what happens is you get stuck in a rut and you're working in a cubicle and you hate your life. And it's miserable. And it's like, who wants to do that? And so that's why I love speaking to young people. I'm like, just jump. Like, go for it. You're never going to succeed until you fail at everything you do.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest accomplishments in my life were the biggest failures. And I need to fail more. I want to fail at something every day of my life.
Love that.
Because it gives me focus and allows me to focus on what I truly, what my end game is, which I love that. But I think the story you're referring to about me is I got into producing, got into television film because of my mentor, Barbara Cameron, and the interning connected me with a lot of people. Because people will tell you it's not who you know. Yes, it is. It's 100% who you know, and there's always a back door into every room on every planet.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, in this room we're in right now, we're like probably 2 people away from talking to the President of the United States if we wanted to. I mean, we could get him on the phone.
Sure.
It's crazy, and I think that people put these roadblocks or give privilege to people because of their position, and they think they don't have access to them when they really do.
Yeah.
You have full access to anyone on the planet if you want to have access to them.
Yeah.
But your fear or failure or being, seen as something, that's your own problem.
Yep.
But that's not because you couldn't get in the room.
Yep.
So I always love knowing that there's a back door. And when our kids were born, I realized that I wanted to teach them how important it was to look at the world as a whole and not just be in there, 1% of the world live the way we do in Southern California.
Sure.
But when you look at maps like this of the world, the rest of the world's living on less than $2 a day.
Yep.
And I used to look at that and go, that's so weird. They're weird in these countries. They don't have running water. They don't have internet. They have mud floors. Like, why are you living like this? This is, the 21st century.
Yeah.
And now I realize, no, we're weird.
Yeah.
1% of the world lives the way we do. Our water comes in 15 different flavors. Our cheesecake menu is like a frippin' novel. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Have you ever been to Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah.
I can't even order anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many options. And we're miserable because we have too many options. And so for me, I started sponsoring these kids for my children, a little boy for Blake and a little girl in Africa, in Uganda.
Yeah.
And thought I was going to teach them how rich they were living in America. And I had a party one night, and this friend of mine brought a woman I'd never met. And she pointed at my refrigerator, these little cute African kids. Yeah. And she goes, you fell for that? How do you know they're not 40 and they're taking your money? And I'm kind of like, what's your name, lady? Get out of my house. Like, you're rude. I said, I don't know that. I guess I really don't. I'm just having faith that my little $25 a month is getting there. So that night when she left, I told my husband I'm going to Africa. And I'm going to see where my money's going. And he's like, cool, let's spend $3,000. And I'm serious, like, what if it's fake? I didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
So I hadn't even owned a passport at that time.
Oh, wow, yeah.
My big travel was the Four Seasons, you know what I mean? So I got a passport, we got the shots. My parents came down to watch our 2 little kids. They were like 3 and 5 years old. And the night before my trip, my husband gets sick. And this is one thing I wish young people would know. Because something happens to someone else shouldn't derail what you're supposed to do. Ever. And we go, it's a sign. This is what I did, at least. I'm like, it's a sign, you're sick. We're going to die in the plane and leave our 2 kids orphaned while I go try to find these kids that are 40 in Africa. And my husband, in his wisdom, at his young age, he said, you're not sick. I think God wants to take an adventure with you. You need to go on this trip. And I'm like, you're going to send your only wife like to the other side of the world? Come on, Bryce. Like, who's going to carry my luggage? He's like, honey, you need to do this. Like, you obviously have been passionate about this. You've never wanted to go out of the country unless it was like Club Med. And he goes, you need to do this. And so the next morning I woke up and I ripped those pictures off the refrigerator and I flew from LAX to Heathrow, from Heathrow to Entebbe, and I showed up in this little village called Gaba, and I told no one I was coming because I'm going to be Diane Sawyer and like bust this thing open if it's fake, and I show up in this little village and I'm like, I'm from America, where's AR212 and GR479, where are my cute kids? And this woman goes, follow me, and she hikes me into the back lot of one of my movie sets, and they were mud huts the size of my walk-in closet, like the size of this room right here, and with a bad-looking sheet for a front door. And she goes, go in. And as I pulled the sheet back to go inside, this little girl darts at me and she goes, Mzungu. It was so sweet. I didn't know what she was saying, but it meant white. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm white. And I didn't recognize her because she had grown from her little photo. But I said, Omega? And she said, yes. I go, I'm Shelene. She goes, I know. And as I was holding her like I would my little girl Brooke, these blinders on my eyes just fell off. And then my eye caught the Christmas card photo of our family and her embedded in her mud wall. And I'm like, I'll get you anything. Like, I have an American Express card. I was like so overwhelmed. And she goes, I'd love a bed. She wanted a bed. And I'm thinking, cool, where's Target Jungle? You know, over here. That one incident in my life of me getting out of my comfort zone, leaving the States, not traveling with my husband, taking an adventure that I had no idea where I was going, where I was staying. I didn't have my roommate with me anymore because I was going to be my husband. Yeah. Completely changed the course of the rest of my life. And I think those divine appointments are available to everyone at every age. Yeah. And people prevent them from happening because maybe your parents prevent it from happening, or maybe fear is preventing it from happening. But the sooner and the younger, it's easier to fly coach when you're young, the younger you are to realize that your dreams aren't going to look like anybody else's. The story I'm sharing right now isn't going to look like anybody else's listening. Because God is a creator. He's not a duplicator. He's not like going to cookie cut everybody's life. He has adventures for all of us. It's just, are we going to get out of the boat and walk on water and experience them? Yeah. Or are we going to sit in our safe spot, grab our, trust fund or our money from mom and dad for college, or the scholarship you got because you're smart, or you're working 3 jobs and paying your way through? Whatever the deal is, you need to be living the adventure that was planned for your life, and not what other people are planning for your life. Yeah. I don't care what your age is. And sometimes I think young people think, well, I don't want to be disrespectful. This person has told me that I'd be really good at this, but you hate this. So who cares if you'd be good at it if you hate it? Like, you need to be doing what gets you up every morning. And the sooner we understand why we're here, then we can wake up and do what we're here for.
Love that.
So that's sort of my story in a nutshell. You asked about college. I dropped out. I dropped out of college.
Hear that, everyone?
I speak at all the universities. I'm speaking at colleges. I'm a best-selling author. I wanted to send all my books to my teachers and go, ha ha! And I didn't drop out of college because, my kids are in college. Like, I get it. My husband had to go to college. He wanted to be a lawyer. I'm an entrepreneur. And so I'm sitting in a classroom in college, working my butt off to pay for the college. And I'm looking at these professors thinking, I could be making way more money than you are. Which, I'm just saying, that's really what I was thinking.
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, I could be making more money than you. Why am I sitting here in your class and you're teaching me nothing? They were teaching me things, but it wasn't what was exciting me. And I feel like if it was something I needed to get where I wanted to go, I'd go back to college right now. If all of a sudden God goes, I need you to be a doctor. Yeah. You've seen this in Africa, I want you to go be a doctor. I could be a doctor.
Sure.
You can be anything if you're willing to learn it, if you're willing to do the work. We all have a brain. And I think that people get pigeonholed in high school or even middle school. Well, you're really not smart at this, Billy. Or, Jane, you should really stay in this lane. I'm like, get out of the lane. Get out of the lane. They have no clue the ability and talent that is inside of you. Yeah. They have no clue. And so then a kid gets stuck in that rut. Junior high, high school, then they get to college and they go, well, everyone said this is who I was. Yeah. Well, that's not who you are. And that's not who you need to be. And so that's why I love talking to college students. They'll come in my book lines after I speak at TED events or at universities, just in Kalamazoo, Michigan, at the college there for their leadership council with the guy who founded Netflix. Oh. And the number one thing they want to know is, when can I start? Like, when have I gone to enough school or I've done enough things or I've met enough people? Like, when can I start? And I'm like, right now. Yeah. You start right now. Because the truth is, tomorrow isn't promised to any of us. We're all just exiting here. We know young people who die. It's just old people go, oh, you have your whole life ahead of you. How do you know that? So you might be sitting on the most epic invention, creation, idea, and you're like, well, I'll wait till I get to college, then I gotta get my master's, I'm gonna get my doctorate, and then maybe I'll share this with somebody. Because my friends all think I'm crazy, and obviously I live on, macaroni and cheese, and, I can't afford to take my idea anywhere. No, but there's people around you who could take your idea to the moon. Yeah. The resources are unlimited. We live in America. And so I don't want young people to postpone launching into whatever's available, whatever's on their heart. Because we need what's on their heart. We need what's in their brain. The world needs that. They might have the cure for cancer or AIDS, or they're like, well, I'm only 23. So what? You think someone 43 is going to know the cure of cancer better than someone at 23? It's not like your brain, it's not like I'm that much smarter now that I'm 48 than when I was 28. Woo, I'm a genius now. No. It's just I'm not so worried about failing anymore. I actually look for it every day. I look for failure every day, and that sounds so crazy. Because the more I fail, the more I can get focused on what I'm really supposed to do. And then I can overcome that and just crush it.
Yeah, I love that. And I hope everyone can see what I mean. When you have such an incredible message, I think, for young people. And, before I want to get into a little bit more about, Skip One and what you do. Before I do, I want to talk a little bit more about failure, because I think it's so important. It's something that definitely Zach and I and everyone at HPRO talk about, is this idea of failing. And people ask us, like, well, what do you mean by failing, or whatever it is? And I remember I thought that. Actually, the first person who really told me to fail is actually a mutual friend of ours, Seth Godin.
Love him.
When I met with him, he said something I'll never forget, which is, he or she with the most failures in life win. And it's like,
he's right.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe take a second, expand upon that a little bit. So what do you mean by failure? And why do you look for it? Why does it make your life better in things you're able to achieve?
Well, in quoting someone that we both mutually respect, Seth Godin said something. He said, "When was the last time you did something for the first time?" And I think that's the way we need to be looking at things each day, instead of letting our calendars or people who have created in our space, in our life, dictate those things. And so, when was the last time you did something for the first time, allows me every day to do something that I've never done. And I'm not talking about bucket list things.
Yeah.
I'm not talking, today I'm going to jump out of an airplane, never done that. Today I'm going to try eating squid, I've never done that. Today I'm going to, say hi to that guy, I've never done that. No, I'm not talking about superficial things. I'm talking about things that are going to move you towards what you're passionate and ultimately in love with. Because in life, love wins.
Yeah.
Love wins. But it takes something to be able to be willing to fail, and that's called humility. And humility is what ultimately wins in every situation, every relationship, every business dealing, every professor encounter you have, every colleague encounter you have, when you get married one day. Humility wins. God says, I am going to suppress the proud and I will elevate, literally lift up people who are humble. And so when you feel like you're in a situation and you don't know what to do, get low. If you do not know what to do in a situation, you're like feeling like you're pushing an idea through, or no one's listening, or you're not understanding your point of view, or you're not being heard, shut up and get low. You're thinking way too more highly of yourself than you ought to. So you're not able to hear what's going on, because these people around you don't want to really harm you. They don't like your arrogance. And I had to have some real people, real friends, and I call them my hula hoop friends. I can count my friends on one hand, and I know thousands of people will say, I know Shelene, I've read her books, I've heard her speak. They don't know me. I'm talking about these 5 friends that you should have by the time you get to college. You need to have these 5 friends. My kids have these 5 people in their life. And they fit in your hula hoop, right? And there's a verse in Proverbs, and it says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but wicked are the kisses of your enemies. And being in the entertainment industry early on in my 20s, people just tickle your ears. I mean, they'll tell you what you want to hear and then stab a knife in your back, or then they need to meet someone you know, and so they try to get through you that way. And it's a really roller coaster of a ride. And those 5 friends kept me grounded in saying, there's no truth in that. And I don't like how you are when you're around this. And I don't like how you talk when you're around this. And it made me evaluate and actually get to see the state of my heart. Because out of the heart, the mouth speaks. So the way we're approaching situations is a direct reflection of the state of our heart. It's not because someone did something to you, or someone took something from you, or someone stole an idea you had, or someone was unfair. No, look in the mirror. It's you. I guarantee it's you. And so that's what helped me grow quicker, was when I finally solidified those people in my life. And then those people when they spoke to me, and sometimes it was embarrassing. I'm like, ouch, like, I did say that, or I did do that, or, that sounds so ugly the way you say it. And she goes, I know, and that's not who you are, Shelene. I don't want people to see you like that. Those people, they're worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's wonderful. And I think back to this idea of failure and surrounding ourselves with these friends and whatnot. And I think one of the things that I'm getting from all the wonderful wisdom you're offering is this idea of being able to reflect, having other people around you who you trust, and that they can put an arm around you and tell you straight up, hey, you really messed this up. And I think so many of us, and I look back at myself in college too, and I think I could have made maybe 2 more hula hoop friends if I just put myself out there more and in a different way. So I don't know, maybe speak to that.
I had too many hula hoop friends. That was a problem. You know what I mean? Like, we were a little different, I think.
Yeah.
It's like I had too many speaking into my life, and then you try to be a people pleaser in whatever group you're in, and you lose your identity. And that is one of the most dangerous things you can do. Like, you need to know who you are. Who are you? Because what you do when nobody's watching, that's really who you are, right? And so, who are you, and why do you think you're here? Why were you born at this time and not in the 1800s? Like, why are you here right now at this very moment for this divine purpose? And what do you think happens to you when you leave here? What do you want to be known for? And I feel like I wish young people would answer that question sooner. Before the SAT, ACT, it's like, start asking those questions. And you might not even know the answers yet. But those are huge questions that I think people shouldn't wait till they're 50 to ask. Because that will literally help you and point you, I feel, in the direction that's going to lead you to where you ultimately want to be.
Yeah, so you're saying take the long-term view, right? Instead of, I feel like high school and our educational system in general sets us up in like 3 to 5 year increments, right?
Right.
Oh, you get good grades in high school, then you take the SAT or ACT, then you apply for college, and you get to college, and you get the right internship, and you get the right job offer, and then you get the promotions at the job, and pretty soon you end up 35 years old, and basically you've just continued to check boxes that other people are telling you to check,
Right.
instead of taking sort of what you're saying, this long-term view of saying, this is the person I want to be. When I look back on my life, I'm 70 years old. I'm going to view things differently than, my highlight of my life was achieving that one thing. It's like, no, these are the people I impacted, people who impacted me.
That's right.
And a lot of it's really more relationally based than, I guess, just achievements, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, what we put into others is the only thing we can take with us. It's all about people. It's all about relationships. Your CEO title, or your founder of this, or your 401k says you make this much, is all going to burn. You can't take any of that with you, no matter what you believe. If you believe in God, Allah, Buddha, I don't care what it is, that's not leaving. But what you put into others, those fingerprints you put on other people's lives, and that you allow them to put on yours, will multiply. Because that's love. And that kind of love, when we love people like that maybe disagree with us, that maybe look different, that maybe act different, or maybe pursuing things that you don't want to pursue, that splashes onto everyone around you. I am so grateful for my team. They do things I hate to do. I don't want to do those things. And they're in my life and in my circle because that's their sweet spot. And so I think trying to be all things to all people is dangerous. And so when you can answer those questions, who am I? Who are you? Why are you here? Why do you think you're here? What's this little life game about, right? With a beginning and an end. Like, what is this about? And what do you think happens when you die? What do you want to be known for? That's going to really get your heart and your mind focused on something. It's like the movies that get made and or documentaries now, like, so-and-so just found out he literally has 30 days to live. And this is what he's going to do. He's not out trying to, win prom king. He's not out trying to be the CEO of Apple. He's like, okay, what do I really, and that's how specific. I want us to live like today, focused, as if tomorrow wasn't going to be there. So being very intentional today. And that's when people always would ask me, so what's your 10-year plan, Shelene? What's your 20-year plan? I go, no, I have a 200-year plan. When I leave here, there is absolutely certain things that I want to be known for. As a wife, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as an author, as somebody who is the founder of a charity. There's certain things I want to be known for. And there's certain things I do not want to be known for at all. And so those now are less and less on my schedule. But I had to ask myself that question. Because before, people were telling me who you're going to be. Shelene, you're great at this, go be that. You're good at this, do this. You know, okay. I'm just trying to say yes. I'm going to learn from all these different people. When all those different people were speaking totally different languages. And I really needed to focus in on the ones that were authorized. Who is my hula hoop? Who are those people going to be? Who do I look at their life and I see integrity? I see restoration. I see people who can restore and renew situations. Those are people I want in my life. There is beauty in a new day. And I think sometimes we have a hard time forgiving ourselves, especially when we're younger. It's like you might not be where you want to be yet, and you're not where you could be, but you're not where you've been. So you need to give yourself that grace, that undeserved favor to have another day, no matter what your situation. And I don't know why I'm even saying that right now, but somebody that's listening is in a pit, and they threw themselves in it. And it's because they're not giving themselves the opportunity of a new day. Or they need to pluck some people out in their life. And that's okay. I'm not talking about, don't ever talk to me again, I can't stand you, and have a blow up. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
I'm saying, this is a boundary for me, and you cross it.
Yeah.
And so I need to shift myself over here.
Absolutely.
This is toxic for me. I always use the example of a pizza. You know, it's like you have all these people in your life, and it's like a big pepperoni pizza, and then someone is toxic. Just like Jesus had with the 12 disciples. There was a Judas among them, right?
Yeah.
And that piece of pizza gets mold on it because it's toxic. Now I can either pluck that sucker out and we all can still eat the other 9 pieces of pizza. Or I can leave it there because I'm so afraid of offending them, and then maybe they won't be my friend and they're not going to like me. Maybe they'll say bad things about me, and what if I need them one day? And all these reasons that we play. It literally molds out the whole thing. Now you just took out everybody.
Yeah.
That's so dangerous. And I wish someone would have told my 20-year-old self that. And I didn't learn that in my 30s, because I would have saved so much heartache, emotional time, stress, anger. I'm Italian. I was really angry. Like, just stuff I didn't even need to waste my words on, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why I love what you guys are doing, what you and Zach are doing here, and being able to share true stories. Not because anybody watching should look like my story, but because they have a story.
And the only way we can find that story is by doing. And this is something that Zach and I talked about recently, one of our videos, is this idea that, you know, people ask us all the time, like, how can I do some of the things that you're doing or whatever? Because, you know, people find out that we're 23 years old and they freak out. It's
right.
like, what the heck, right?
Yeah.
And the response is like, yeah, well, we were 16 when we started doing these things. You know, Zach, you know, youth director, and you know, myself starting H4O. And it's like you have to do to learn who you are, you know, what you're good at, what you're not so good at, you know, and that becomes apparent pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
But what I feel like happens to so many students in high school or college or even in their early 20s is they don't get into the real world and take responsibility for anything until they're 23 years old, our age, and then that 7 years passes and they're 30, and they're where we are now when they're 30, because they haven't, you know, taken that jump and, you know, taken that risk and said, hey, I'm going to fail some, I'm going to put myself in some situations where I'm going to have to grow.
Even the way you just said that, first of all, I'm going to fail some, right? No, I want you to fail.
Yeah.
That should be on your to-do list today. Shelene, how can I fail at something today? Which sounds so weird. Like, I know that sounds so weird. And you jumped at a young age, which is awesome. You had that support group around you in terms of people who saw your giftedness and they actually spoke truth to you. There's some people that don't have a strong mother and father. There's divorced families, there's abuse, there's all of these, they live in a different country and come to America. There's all these different surrounding situations. But I think when we can allow our heart to say the fail word is not an F word, okay? But as a fantastic opportunity to give us focus.
Yeah.
You are going to get where you want to go so much quicker than people who've had years to noodle on this. It's amazing to me. It's so amazing. I mean, I think about all the times I walked around the barn a million times, and God's like, there was a door, you could have just walked right through. It was right there. And I'm like, dang it! Like, why didn't I see it? Because I was so focused on the wrong things.
Sure.
Don't fail. I got to be successful at this. At everything I do, I got to be successful. What is success? Exactly. What is that? Like, what would you say the 20 college generation would say success is right now?
I would say it's, I think I feel like they don't have their own definition of success. I think it's portrayed to them, by society, this idea of the American dream, providing for yourself, or being a good person, or now certainly it's this whole, concept of social justice and doing good for others and making our world, our society, a more equitable place. All good things, but ultimately, I think what you're getting at is this idea that, look, we have to come to terms with what are the tough questions, right? And also deep down who we are. And that we're kind of slapping God in the face or whatever in the face if we're not willing to say, yes, this is who I am and I'm going to rock it each and every day.
Right. And I'm not saying that you're not going to have bad days or that you won't want to get out of bed and do that day. Or that's normal. Yeah. That's just normal. But there's these words that I feel like the media has fed us. And said, well, this is what it looks like, and this is what you need to be, and you'll be happy if you get this. That's all a lie.
Yeah. Our
best life is later. I mean, it is. And so it's like, we want to do things that are going to make us deposits in heaven. I mean, whether the viewers believe in God or don't believe in God, someone's allowing you to breathe right now and knows how many hairs are on your head. Like, you didn't make that happen. And so when you ask those uncomfortable, hard questions sometimes, you can get beautiful answers that are going to give you a peace that passes all understanding in your life. And it'll guard your heart and it'll guard your mind. And that is something that's going to get you where you want to go so much faster than you ever could imagine. I'm not arrogantly a Christian. I suck and need a savior. You know what I mean? So for me, when I chose my faith, I was very intentional about that. Because being in the entertainment industry, I have tons of Jewish friends, I have tons of atheist friends, I have tons of gay friends. I mean, I name anything, and I love them all.
Yeah.
And they all speak into my life. But then I have my hula hoop friends. So you kind of have these people that you will drop on a dime when they tell you something. And then you have people that are kind of maybe sideline sitters in your life, but you see them and you do things with them. And then there's people that are just stalkers. They watch your life, right? You don't really let them in, but you know they're lurking around, and they always seem to know. You always seem to know what they're doing. They just know everything about you.
Yeah.
And I just want to give people permission. I'm not worried that anyone's going to fail at anything in terms of success. I just want you to succeed at something that doesn't matter.
Right. Exactly.
Because then you lose. And my desire for everyone to watch is to finish well.
Yeah, and it seems like someone once told me that a midlife crisis is when someone loses purpose in their work, right? And it is this idea, you think of what the American dream tells us, right? It says, hurry up, right? Start making that money now. Buy that house as quick as you can. Get that family. Provide for your kids' college. Do all that stuff as quickly as you can. And then you get to the point when you get there, because look, we're smart and we live in a country that gives us great opportunities. I mean, the reality is a lot of people get there.
Right.
And then you do, and it's like, well, cool, I'm here. So what? Right? Like, this is great, but why is this not what I thought it would be? Right?
Because the joy's in the journey.
Yeah.
There is no end game. And you see people like my pops, who's 78 years old, doesn't really need to work another day in his life. Architect, builder, has tons of commercial buildings, income coming in, whether he's sleeping or awake, right? That's what happens when you have tenants. Yeah. And he goes to work. I gotta get up. I can't go to dinner tonight. I have to be up at 6 a.m. That he just pursues the things that he's passionate about, and you'll live forever unless, you know what I mean? Unless God wants to call you home. It's amazing, but it's when we stop and we think that we arrived somewhere, and you'll see stories on the news. Oh, he finally retired. He died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's no such thing. I mean, Proverbs says you don't work, you don't eat. There's no retirement. Even if I don't have to go to that job that I did there, I can go to jobs around the world then if I don't have to go deliver mail or whatever the job was, you know? And so I think this whole destination where, oh, I'm going to get here, if I save up this much, it's just a lie.
Absolutely.
And it's weird how many people have drank the Kool-Aid on it.
You know, I think we all have to fight ourselves with that, you know? You know I do. I wake up a lot of times and I'm stressed, you know, finances or this or that or whatever. Gosh, if only I had, you know, a house, or if I had this or whatever, or more money in the bank. And it's like, you know, just relax. It's okay.
Try wanting what you have.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, I feel like that's what I love about H4O. Skip One, the charity that I launched after getting back from Africa, asked you to skip one thing for the sake of someone else. You skip a latte, a lunch, a pack of gum, and donate it at Skip One so that we can partner with organizations like you. We can build kitchens at orphanages and schools so kids can have lunch every day and have clean water. And I think that it's dangerous when we take our eye off the poor in our country because we think this is normal. So then you don't have enough money now in the bank account, and you don't get the house fast enough because your friend got the house, and you don't have the kid fast enough because your friends just had the kid. And you don't have your degree fast enough, and you didn't get your doctorate fast enough. You didn't pass the bar quick enough. And it's this comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
It's a thief of joy. My daughter did an illustration at her high school. They do a thing at the middle school called it's young club or something where they go over there and they share with the young people. And she had this icebreaker game, and she brought this pack of Sour Patch, which, you know, I love Sour Patch, just watermelon Sour Patch. And the kid that won it got the Sour Patch pack, and all the kids are erupting at the middle school. No way, you got the Sour Patch. And she was, okay, so we're gonna do one more game. And so she did this other game, and she gave away a whole case to this kid of Sour Patch. And I was like, what? I just won the last time. And she goes, and you were totally happy with that, right? And she's like, until you saw that he was going to get a case of Sour Patch. And her whole point was comparison is the thief of joy.
I love that.
And so we need to stay focused and fix our eyes on things to come and not necessarily on earthly things. When you can recognize what you really want to be known for, do you want people to come to your funeral? He was a total workaholic. He had the best house in the whole neighborhood. He drove the sweetest car. And I don't know anything about him other than that. He worked he was never at a soccer game with his kids, and I don't know if he's still married to his wife, and I don't know if he drank or did drugs. I mean, I don't know. But he had a sweet house. Probably the best house in our whole neighborhood, and he had the best car for sure. And yeah, he had a motorhome. I never saw him use it because he worked a lot. Like, he was always working. He was a great provider for his family. That's what I would say to his funeral. He was a great provider of his family. And if you really want to know what you worship, what you wake up for every day, why don't you ask 5 people in your life to write a letter to you? You will never respond to it. I did this at 30. I asked people in my life, I said, I want you to list 1 to 5 the things you think are the most important to me. And I will never respond to it. And one person goes, oh, I'm not going to send that to you. I go, you didn't even need to put your name on it. And I received these letters in the mail. I was so embarrassed because they were so right. At number 1, number 2, number 3, and I'm like, oh, like, this is not who I want to be known for. This is not the way I want people to see me. Doesn't matter, Shelene. That's how they see you.
Yeah.
It's like when you get on a scale. I'm like, no. I mean, I must still weigh 120 like I did in my 20s, right? And then you get on a scale and you're like, holy crap! Like, who broke the scale? The truth sets you free.
Yeah.
So when you're ready, at whatever age that is, you want to wait till you're 50, you want to do it at 23, you want to do it at 19, to have the truth set you free, you need to be willing to receive that. Because I think parents are coddling their kids. Bill, you're so good at this. You're great at that. You were the best in the this. You were the best in the that. But if you didn't get an award, I'm going to give you an award. No, you didn't get an award because you weren't the best at that.
Yeah.
Someone else was. But you're good at this.
Right.
I feel like parents are coming around young people and then they go, I don't know, my mom said I was great at everything. You're not. You're not great at everything. Because we're supposed to look like a body. So that means someone has to be the toe, and someone's the ear, and someone's the finger. And when we work like that as a country, as a nation, as a world, it's powerful. There's one quarterback on the football field because that receiver was never meant to be the quarterback. He's got to catch that ball. So why does everybody go, I need to be the quarterback? Why? Who would watch football if everyone was the quarterback? No one's tuning in for Super Bowl for that. And you're not giving away the $1 million commercials. And I think that that's what happens. We're comparing ourselves to people, or seeing who's getting accolades for what they're doing. God can do great things through the person who doesn't care who gets the credit. And watch as you humble yourself, how you will elevate to positions and doors will open for you that no one could open. No amount of money, no amount of education, no amount of friendship. It's nuts. And I can say this to you because of where I'm at now.
Right.
I couldn't have seen that at 23. And that's what's cool that you're doing this. Because either people can go, yeah, good for you, lady, or you can lean in and listen right now and actually change your life. And not have to spend the next 20 years trying to ask these questions. Like, I wish I could go back to my 20-year-old self and say, here. Let me just bypass a little of that. You can go straight through.
I love that. So then I want to get to, because our interns asked a ton of amazing questions,
Okay.
but maybe let's close with this thought. So
Okay.
let's pretend that I'm a 20-year-old college student who has dreams to make a difference, to help people around the world, but I just don't know what to do, where to start, or even if I should start. So what's your advice to me? Lay it on me.
My advice would be, you need to do something today that puts you closer to those ideas that you have. Because doing nothing doesn't feel right. And I think sometimes because we don't feel we have all the answers to see the end at the beginning, we don't even start the story. And my advice would be take one step towards any of that. Because here's the real reality of all of that question. Why do you want to change the world? Why do you want to do something that matters? And if you really do, or if you just want people to think that that's who you are, you're not going to move. But if you really want to do that because you don't care if people go, oh, Spencer's such a great guy, he started H4O, and it gives you a good reputation and a good name, you're just frosting a manure cake, it's all crap inside anyway.
Yeah.
So and a lot of people do things like that. They do things because it makes them look good, and they're going to shine the car up, right? But you get inside and it's just crap. It doesn't go anywhere. There was no engine in the car. It was all a joke. And that's what you need to identify first. Because your 20-year-old self can get to all those dreams as fast as a 40-year-old self could. Or a 60-year-old self could. And the sooner you can realize that, as soon as a 16-year-old self, hello H4O,
Yeah.
I started a business in my bedroom when I was 15 years old because my parents would not buy me Shemenda fur pants to go back to school in. You probably don't even know what those are. And Jordache jeans. But your moms will know what those are. And so I think anybody that's watching needs to realize that little steps in a new direction right now today can get them facing a whole new way. Just take one step. And you've already achieved more than you did yesterday.
Yeah. It's this idea of, I guess, we're all in this direction or this path, if you will. And if you don't like where you're headed, well, then start making a course correction, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what you're saying. So if you want to do something but you know you're not doing anything,
Right.
well then start taking little steps.
And to remember what faith is all about. Faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you can't see. If you could see it all at the beginning, there's no journey in that. There's no faith in that.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, let's get to some of the questions that our interns have. Our interns ask, really, thus far. So keep it up, everyone.
Yeah, good job, everybody.
So the first question here I want to get to is, what are your thoughts on college students and them having a plan for their 20s?
I think it's ridiculous. I know that sounds so crazy. I'm bucking. What plan exactly? What plan? You know, I feel like you need to figure out who you are and what you're passionate about, and then start pursuing that. And then give yourself grace when you realize you really hate that and you don't like it at all. But I told 100 people that I was going to go pursue this thing in Africa, and now I get there and I go, you know what, I don't like this, and I don't want to do this. Because you might come back and create an app or program, become a programmer that helps something over there, and that's why you had to see it. And so the plan is to never stop progressing forward in whatever you're doing today. That's the plan. Get off the couch, get off the whatever you're playing or, you know, YouTubing or whatever, and go do something today. Not that you can't come back to that later, but have movement in your life. I think that people are sitting around waiting for someone to knock on the door and give you your life.
Yeah.
And I even mean you're waiting for your parents to do that, or the right relationship, or the right college, or the right career, and it's never going to show up. And you're going to be living in your parents' basement at 30, and you're going to be that guy or girl. So do something today that moves you forward. And I'm not saying that it has to be big. I truly meant what I said earlier. Little steps in a new direction can get you exactly where you're supposed to go. Too much too soon is not good. It just isn't. We don't know how to process it. I've seen that in the industry, working with child stars. They do not know how to process it. And so then they check out with drugs or alcohol or Medicaid, just check out because you can't function at that level. That kind of money, that kind of fame, that kind of success. You don't even know how to process your first name when you're a child star. Let alone have everyone tell you to say what you wear, is what you say.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you have freedom to even discuss this right now today, you're in such a winning situation. You're in a winning situation that someone has already pigeonholed you into a career.
Right.
Before you even were old enough to make that decision. So the plan, no, I call it the plans. They're unlimited.
Yeah.
There's not one plan for your life. They're unlimited, unless we're talking about God. Because He's the way, the truth, and the life. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about, you're talking about career-wise, like, what's my plan? How do I execute? No, there's plans. There's many, many roads that can get you to where you want to go. That's the lie. And that's why when you go up one of them, you're like, ooh, I didn't like that. Great, go up a different one. Or turn around and walk the other direction.
But the only way to know is by doing.
Yes, you gotta do
right?
something. Yeah.
That's what drives me crazy is when people say, and they do this sometimes. We all do it, right?
Sure.
When it's like, gosh, I just don't know where to start, or well, if I do this, that means that I can't do that, or whatever. And it's like, well, you're not going to be able to do either.
Right.
If you don't just start doing something.
Yeah.
Right, and that's how you'll figure
You
it out.
gotta be in it to win it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's a great answer.
That's a good question.
Okay, so and we've talked about this a little bit, but maybe let's try to pick one here. And I know you probably don't want to pick one, but the question is, what is the greatest mistake you see young people making? So like if there's one thing that you could change that every young person does, myself included, college students, high school students, what is it? And what would you say? Stop that.
To stop not wanting to make mistakes. Make mistakes. That's your job. Because that means you're doing something. It's like the person, it's literally the parable in the Bible about the landlord. And he gives these three guys money. And he goes, I'm going to be back. And the one guy goes, oh crap, he's such a bad landlord. I'm going to bury this so I don't lose this $1,000 or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
The next guy goes, I'm just going to put it, I'm just going to do a little bit with it and then I'm just going to hold on to it. Then the third guy goes, I'm going to go out and multiply this sucker. Like, let's just be all in. Like, what would happen if I have this? He comes back. And the guy's like, here you go, I totally, and he goes, you idiot, if you knew that I was this guy, this shrewd businessman, why wouldn't you have at least put it in the bank and made some interest on it?
Yeah.
So I think that when we aren't willing to make mistakes, we're not banking anything. We're actually betting against ourselves. We're checking out on ourselves. I'm just going to sit here, I won't move all day, I won't meet anybody, I won't talk to anyone, I won't say anything, and I'll go to bed and I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do one thing, I didn't break a dish, I didn't make a meal, I didn't talk to anybody wrong, I didn't drive anywhere wrong, okay. You better wake up and you're going to make a mistake today. You're going to say something you shouldn't say, you're going to buy something you shouldn't buy, you're going to go somewhere you shouldn't have gone, you might take something or drink something or smoke something or do even worse things that you shouldn't be doing, right? But this happens. This is just reality. It's like you have to be able to give yourself grace to have a new day.
So it's this idea of doing something, right, and then reflecting, and if it was not good, you know, a mistake I think a lot of people fall into is exactly what you're saying, the pity trap. So you do something, you say, oh, that was a really great thing, or I affirm that I'm gonna go in that direction, or you say I hate it, and then it's okay, let's move on, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, and now I've learned that lesson.
Because sometimes, it's exactly what I'm saying, and sometimes your mistake is someone else's miracle. You just didn't know about it.
Sure.
You might do something that you go, that did not turn out the way it should have. but it totally did for someone else.
Mm.
You're not on this planet alone.
Mm. So you do something and things happen, right?
Absolutely. I don't believe in coincidences. I think there's divine appointments everywhere and we miss it because we make it all about us.
Right.
That didn't go well for me, or I put so much energy into that, or what? It's that pity part. I can't stand it. I can't,
Totally.
I don't even want to be around people like that. I'm like, shut up.
Mm.
Like you're draining out the whole room. No one wants to hear, this didn't work out, I didn't get in here, and then this happened, and then blah, blah, blah. It's like no one wants to be around you. If you're one of those people, like they don't. So love yourself, lift yourself up, and move on.
Mm.
Move on to a new thing.
Awesome. So this is from this list, so you didn't see this, but I think this question would be great, actually, coming after this one, which is, what would be your advice to someone who does too many things or says yes to too many opportunities?
Yeah.
So they're not sitting down scared, but they've got too much going on to really be effective.
That was me. That was me. I actually operate better when I'm overpacked. When I have a really clear day, I don't accomplish anything all day. I'm like, wow, I did like one thing. I function better. I just don't want to, again, succeed at something that doesn't matter.
Mm.
And you can't keep all those plates spinning. I think when you're younger, you spin a lot of plates, which I think is wise, because it allows you to see which ones you want to break.
Yeah.
So you can spin all these and you go, oh no, that can do without that one, I can do without this one. I'm loving this one. I want to keep that one going.
Yeah.
Okay, this, I still don't know yet about these. I don't know. I'm going to keep them up. I think there's wisdom in that.
Totally. No, I love that. And then it's just having the wisdom and strength when you don't like a plate to, let it break.
And go,
right?
and
move on.
And
right?
to have the humility when someone goes, I thought you were doing that, Spencer. What happened? I thought you were doing this big thing or this thing over here. And you're like, I was. I'm just not anymore.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, you can't meet any entrepreneur, any successful person in business, anybody that you read about that's a Fortune 500 company, and you sat down with the CEO, they would tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you. Failure leads you to finding your focus all day long. All day long.
So juggle it.
Yeah.
And then once you find whatever it is that you love, that's awesome, that's working, then you lean in.
Because you can only juggle so many things.
Right.
Eventually you will drop a ball. That's the one that was supposed to drop.
Exactly.
Because if it was something you really were passionate about, you wouldn't have let that ball drop.
Right.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
It's like the comment I made earlier, like, what gets you up in the morning? What would get you up at 2 a.m. and you'd be like, I'm here. Like, I couldn't get here fast enough. Those are the things you want to really focus on.
I love
Not money. Money will come when you do what you love. There's so much money on this planet, it's ridiculous. Money will always come when you're doing what you love.
I love that. I think that is a perfect answer to whoever asked that.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah, gets us to, and that's, so many college students are in that boat, so that's a great answer. Let's look here. This is a good question. So, what has been your greatest failure?
Thinking I failed. Actually thinking that failure is a failure. I know that's a double entendre probably, but that a failure is a failure. Instead of realizing that the failure in my life, and I'm saying when I'm younger, now I understand it, but when I was in my 20s, it could grip me. I mean, it could paralyze me. It could get me to have stinking thinking. And I think that's what happens a lot of us is, our mind controls our brain. Our brain doesn't control our mind, right? So we think things and then we act upon them.
Right.
Instead of renewing our mind and saying, yeah, that sucked, and I did not finish well with that. I came in last place. So where's a new race then? I want to get in that race. Signing up for the next race immediately. And what happens is when you are wounded because you have put time, energy, you thought this was the way to go. Like, for instance, I created a show that got picked up by a big, gorilla, like if you look at all the reality shows, these are the people that produce them, and so we went around to all the networks, and my show got stolen. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. I put everything into this. Why did this happen? But out of that, birthed Skip One.
Yeah.
I just didn't need a television crew to do it. But it would have been more, I would have gotten more accolades for it had it been on television, and I would have gotten more money, and I would have been known for it. So sometimes the direction you think you're going could actually not be the best direction for you. Because what I didn't understand in my 20s that I understand now is those red carpets and all those awards I was winning was making me think more highly of myself than I ought to. And that is dangerous all day long. When you have an I am and there's none besides me attitude, you will fail. You might have tons of money, but you're failing in life. Money doesn't dictate success. Ever. I've met women in mud huts, in dirt floors with a candle on a pot that she made an egg on to light up the room. Completely rock my world. All the way over in Lima, Peru. I'll never forget it. Wisdom that I've never heard anywhere in America. And she didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. So she must not have anything valuable to tell me? Is that really what we're saying? Is that what society's saying now? Unless you're loaded and you have tons of money, you don't have anything valuable to say? And that's why everyone watching has so much value to say. They're going, I'm not done with college yet, I don't have the degree, I don't have the paper, I don't have the income yet. Don't be silent. You have things to say, you have things to share.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And that was actually one of our interns' questions was how do you define success? And I think you summed it up pretty well there. But it's this idea, again, I mean, we sound like a broken record at this point a little bit too, but it's so true. It's this idea of achieving money or achieving wealth or whatever. It's not at the end of the day, it matters so much less than the people that we impact and, you know, what essentially we leave behind, which is love. And, you know, I think that you put it so well. You know, the fingerprints we leave on other people's hearts, and that's great. I mean, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm being challenged by a lot of the things that you're saying, and you know, I hope that all of our viewers understand that that's okay. Like, you know, we should be challenged by what you're saying because it's so amazing. But I love that fingerprint one. It's like, you know, whose heart can I leave fingerprints on today?
Right. So if tomorrow you weren't here,
exactly, that
person would say, no, I met Spencer. He crossed my path.
And he was present with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Because those people might never come around again. But there was a moment when someone crosses your life, and I think we should be totally aware of those things. Call them divine appointments. I talk about it in Love, Skip, Jump. And I believe we're all 1 yes away from changing everything in our life and living the adventure of a lifetime. It's just we are paralyzed by comfort and safety, by the American dream, and it's preventing us from actually living the life that God planned originally. Plans to prosper us, not to harm us, and plans that are going to give us a hope and a future. And so that's why I love what you guys are doing with the show and just kind of taking the risk and jumping out there and saying, I don't know if one person watches. Well, that's enough.
Sure.
That's enough. Because that person's going to hear a now word right now that could totally change the world.
Totally.
That's exciting to me.
And we all can change people, right? It doesn't matter that we're doing this and it's on YouTube or whatever, but we all have people in our lives that, you know, we know something that they need to hear, and we're so often afraid of saying it.
That's right.
That's awesome. And I think this is another great question here from one of our interns. And, you know, you've talked a lot about your faith here today. And so one of our interns wants to know how has your spirituality influenced your life? And also, do you think that, you know, that having faith or spiritual beliefs is a must for people to help others and do great things?
It's huge. I mean, I would be a fraud sitting here, and yet at the same time, like I said earlier, I'm a Christian because I suck and need a Savior. Not because I feel like I'm better than anybody or because I'm more important, but because of what I needed Christ to do. That blood means something for my life. And for most of my life, I had heard about God. My family would attend church. It was very church-easy to me. And I was actually missing heaven by 18 inches. I had head knowledge, but my heart was so far from it. And so for me, I can't imagine people living life without Christ. I can't imagine it. I was a lying thief, coveter at heart, and I still do. I still lie. I still covet. And that's why I needed what he did for me on the cross. And to me, to know that information, to actually get in the Bible and finally read it for myself, and I have to hear it in a church or someone shoving it down my throat, and come to a saving knowledge of that. If I didn't share that with someone, or if I pretended like, oh, I better not bring that up here, then I must hate people.
Yeah.
Like, if I believe that, I must just hate people then, to not share that. It'd be like having a drug for the cure of cancer, and you going, oh, sorry, I'm going to save that in case, it offends you that I'm trying to give you, a cure for your cancer. So, to me, my faith is everything, and that's what motivates and moves me to the things I want to do, because I really believe my best life is later. That in this world there is going to be trouble, but God says, be of good cheer, I've overcome the world. Like, I'm in the victory business, I'm God, and the faster you get on my train, the faster you're going to get where you want to go, because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Follow me. So sometimes I think when people are just so trying to find out, why am I here, and what's the universe, and what's happening, and those are all great questions to ask. But they're searching for things that's going to lead to destruction. It's a narrow road that leads to everlasting life, and few find it. And wide is the road that leads to destruction, and everyone's partying on it. And so it looks like, okay, this is the right way to go. And I just would ask people to just stop for a second for themselves. And ask God, even where you are right now, God, if you're real, will you reveal yourself to me? Because I do not want to get to the end of my life and go, oops. Oh, oops, I guess I should have checked that out while I was getting my doctorate or my PhD. And you miss Jesus? You lose. Like, you lose. And so for me, I was losing in life, even though my material wealth and success was high.
Sure.
I was literally missing heaven by 18 inches. I mean, the Bible says the demons believe in God and they shudder in hell. It's not enough to believe in something. I could believe I want to lose 50 pounds, but if I don't go on a diet and I go get Mexican food like I'm going to go to after this, I'm not going to lose 50 pounds. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can believe something and really want it and say, no, I really, really, really do. That's not enough.
And so it sounds like your advice is to anyone who is curious, or maybe not even curious, about spirituality, Christianity, whatever, is, hey, what have you got to lose? Consider
Check it out. Yeah.
And because, and I think something you talked about a lot here today is that young people, we have this mindset of invincibility where it's like, oh, well, tomorrow, I can always do that tomorrow or later in life or whatever. And what you're saying is, not only is tomorrow not promised, but you could be missing out.
Yeah.
Because you're not willing to contemplate really your purpose. So I think that's a great encouragement to everyone watching to really contemplate and think about those questions.
And I think you need to think about those questions in your life, not to please grandma or mom or dad or whatever, but it'll help you answer those 3 questions we talked about earlier.
Right.
Who are you? And why are you here? Like, why were you created? Why were you created? And what happens when you leave here, when you die? Because 10 out of 10 people die. That's just fact. So it's like answering those questions is going to be a lot better if you measure it with the Bible. If you measure it, with something that's of truth. Then you can go, okay, wait, my identity is found in Christ. And why I'm created, why I'm here, is to bring glory to God. Like, he goes, true religion is people who take care of the widows and orphans. He's like, I'm going to die on this cross for you, Shelene. Let me do the death thing, but while I'm gone, could you take care of these widows and orphans right here? So that's why I love this. That's why I love, and then it gives me this assurance that death doesn't really have a sting on my life. So when I'm pursuing something, I'm all in. I love business. I love making money. I love traveling the world. I love helping others. But there are people in the world that do amazing things, and they don't believe in God. Because we all have a conscience. Con meaning with, science meaning knowledge. With knowledge, it feels good to help someone. Yeah. Whether I believe in a God or a being or a crystal or a whatever you believe in, it just does. It feels good.
Totally. No, I love that. So let's go with. So this is a good question. It's about motivation. So, what have you found to be the most effective strategies in order to motivate people to get your message, but to also take tangible action in making a difference? So let's say we have some interns, and we definitely do, who are on fire, they're doing amazing stuff, and they're like saying kind of what you're saying, like, gosh, I just wish that other people were here with me, and we're also doing this. What would you tell them that they can do to help motivate people around them to take action and do more?
to keep hitting it, like just keep hitting it. People want to get on a moving train. It's true. No one wants to start the train. No one wants to push the train up the hill. No one wants to bring the gas to get the train going. But once it's moving, oh, you'll motivate tons of people. And so it's those leaders, it's those people that are willing to be servant leaders. Like, are you willing to wash people's feet? Are you willing to be the first one there, the last one to leave, no one to notice? That's a leader, you know? And so it's not a title. It's an action. Leadership is an action. When I see someone doing something and it's actually happening, it just doesn't have to be big. They don't even have to be successful at it. They could maybe started a day ago. But there's movement, we're drawn to it. It's human nature, you get drawn to it. But the person who's like, I got this other idea, I get this other idea, I have great ideas, and you do have great ideas, but you do nothing with them.
Right.
You're not gonna motivate anybody, because you're just giving lip service. And nobody likes this. It's just like, oh yeah, she's got great ideas, but she never does anything with them. He never does anything with them. When you notice people around you doing stuff, and you might be the person that's doing the stuff, I guarantee people are noticing. They're noticing, and by your own just consistency, just killing it every day, I'm just gonna crush this every day. I'm gonna keep my eyes focused on things to come. I'm gonna keep my eyes focused on what I'm working towards. People will jump on that train because it starts moving.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. But if you give up, you go, oh, no one wants to be a part of this, then why were you doing it in the first place?
Right.
Like, there's things in my life that I'm doing, if no one wants to be a part of them, okay, don't be part of it. It's still not going to not make me pursue it and be 100% all in. No one is going to deter me from something I'm passionate about. If I feel I'm supposed to do it, I do not need a majority. And it's weird how those people surface when they see you just killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I love that. It's this idea of being willing to do the hard work and the heavy lifting because you believe in what you're doing, right?
Right.
Regardless of what other people think or not, right? Whether they affirm what you're doing or don't
Right.
affirm what they're doing. But I think you're totally right. And once something starts to go well, there's success there.
Right.
People, generally speaking, want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So.
Like when I first started Skip One, I had nobody. I had like
Dude.
3 or 4 people,
Yeah.
and it was like, doo. And then you start building kitchens, and you start getting out
Yeah.
speaking, and you're like, I want to be a part of Skip One. I want to do a Skip Day. I want to, and it's awesome, and I love that. No matter when on the journey people come, but you have to be completely all in with something that you're passionate about before anyone else is going to buy in. And your leadership has to have action, or no one wants to follow you.
There's nothing to follow.
That's
You're not
right.
doing anything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Case in point, yeah.
Makes perfect sense. Great. So let's talk a little bit. I think we've gotten through pretty much all the essence of all these questions one way or another. But I want to talk a little bit about Skip One and your books, and we'll definitely link in the description of these videos to both Skip One and to your website, and to also where they can buy your books, because I think they should. They're if they want more of this, or they want to read part of this every day and have Shelene speak into their lives every day, they should, watch and share these videos, but also they should buy your books. So maybe you want to talk a little bit more about Skip One, how people can get involved, and also maybe a quick plug for your books as well.
Yeah, Skip One at skipthenumber1.org. And our whole philosophy is to skip something and feed a child. Forgo something for the sake of someone else. My dream is to get everyone on the planet to skip one thing once in their life for someone who can never repay them. And you can go to skip1.org, check out all the projects, all the places we are around the world, and get involved, become a Skip One ambassador. It's amazing. And then you can reach me at shelenebryan.com. And Love, Skip, Jump is a little about what we've been talking about here right now, which has been great, where love has to be the motivation of why you're doing something. And again, I believe when we forego something for someone else, you'll never regret that in your life. When you give someone a hand up, you help them out, you never go, why did I do that? Maybe they didn't thank you the right way, but it feels great when you help someone. But ultimately, during this small amount of time we're on earth, you gotta jump all in. You can't just halfway do something. Be either all in or don't be in at all. I love that verse in Revelations. It says, you're neither hot nor cold, you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. And it's so true. It's like either be all in or all out. You don't want to be in a relationship. You don't want to have a boss. You don't want to have a job. You don't have a friendship. It's like, oh, I'm sort of, do you like me or don't you like me?
Yeah.
Like, are we in or are we out? And so that's what Love, Skip, Jump is about, how we're all one yes away from changing everything and living the adventure of a lifetime. And I believe that yes starts with saying yes to your Creator, so He can provide you the path for your life. And then my recent book that just came out is Ridiculous Faith, because it does take faith to launch into these ideas in your business or in your career or in your personal life. And that faith isn't something that we can see. And so we talk about how in Ridiculous Faith, true stories of people who jumped and what that looks like. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, well, I recommend both of them, and I hope to do this again soon.
Yeah,
so
I would
we'll talk
love it.
about more, and so we've talked about maybe doing like a Sundays with Shelene
Sundays with
segment or
Shelene.
something like that.
Yeah.
But
If you don't want to go to church, we'll talk about some things. You can send me in any questions you have about faith or about God. And if I don't know the answers, I know tons of people who do, and we can answer them on Sundays. And also weave that into your business, into your life, into your career. Because I do believe God's in the victory business, and that He does know the plans that He has for the people watching right now, and they're to prosper them. But they need to get on that plan as fast as they can.
Absolutely. No, I think it's well said. Everything you said has been incredibly inspiring and obviously well thought out and with passion. So
Yes.
I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.